This morning I woke up realizing that I think it's important for everybody to know all of the preparation that went into planning this trip up north, and that it wasn't just me. I had a huge team, a huge support system helping in Canada. So when I decided that we would go from Buffalo to the Rainbow Bridge to North Bay to Cobalt, back to North Bay, and then back to Barrie. And of course, then back to Niagara Falls in the end. I really felt like this was going to be a challenge, especially since the first day we landed, it was Thanksgiving in Canada. And there are no stores open on Thanksgiving. There's nowhere to get groceries. What am I going to do for food for the whole crew? My friend Sherry Alexander just stepped in like a champion with her husband, John. The two of them went shopping for us. And when we did our trip north, as you can see here, we stopped in Barrie for just a split second in the pouring rain. Enough time to have John and Sherry put 3 ginormous bins of food in our car. It was amazing. Leading up to leaving, Sherry and I worked to ensure that we had the permissions and the insurance in place to have our event at the Spirit Catcher in Barrie. We were not sure how many people were going to be there, so I wanted to make certain that everything was legal and approved. We didn't want to have anybody interrupt our ceremony for Arnie. Also, Sherry went and got us speakers so that people could hear what was happening, and that turned out to be fabulous. You'll hear about it. Anyway, the different people involved were Martha Baker, just super supportive the whole time, willing to help us, willing to be available to us as we were doing our journey. Lee Mathers and his wife Terry, oh my goodness. So I had to find people after 12 years of not kind of moving on this story at all, and more since I'd been to Cobalt, almost maybe 17 years since I'd been to Cobalt. I really had to reach out. So I started looking through my old photos of Arnie and me when we were up in Cobalt and started to think about who I might reach out to. I found Lee on Facebook, and then I found Lee's wife, Terry, and Terry is the one who reached back to me pretty much immediately. And then we all started chatting about what was possible. We were reminiscing about Arnie, and I was telling them about what I wanted to have happen up there. Beyond that, Lee connected me with an amazing Cobalt historian, Maggie Wilson. Oh my goodness. Maggie jumped into action looking for the locations I wanted to have. So my main concern was finding the school bell. I was on a mission to Cobalt to find that school bell, and Maggie found the bell for me. It was in a place called Poetry Park. And the reason it was there instead of at the school where it was when Arnie and I were there is because that school had burned down. Maggie said she could take us around town even if the family didn't show up, because I wasn't sure anybody was going to be there at all. I didn't know how we would get around, what would happen. I just thought, well, even if the family doesn't show up, at least we can go around with Maggie, and Maggie can show us these landmarks. Also, she got me in touch with the owner of Poetry Park because I had to actually ask his permission to put down a plaque that I had made. So Maggie, thank you so much for all of your help and support. She was just so fabulous, and emotional support and the support with the history. I just can't tell you how instrumental you were in helping get this done. Lee and Terry, they really went the extra mile to round up the family and let people know. They reached out to people who are normally not accustomed to leaving their houses, and they told them what was happening. They drummed up excitement and made everybody want to come out and be a part of it. But up until the last moment, we really didn't know who was going to arrive or who would be involved. So amazing help. Melissa Jensen was instrumental in getting us the library presentation. She got me in touch with that librarian. She got us tickets to go see a movie at the Film Fest. Melissa showed up at one point with groceries for us right in the middle of the trip. She was fabulous, always there, always willing to spread the word about Arnie and get us out there. Tracy Strom was a principal when we were in town doing our tour back in the day, and Tracy got in touch with CBC. She got in touch with CTV. She reached out in so many places. I don't even know what she did to make sure all of this happened for us. I'm looking forward to telling you how that kind of came down. Stephanie Austin jumping on board, amazing. I can't wait to tell you all the things Stephanie and I did. Stephanie Defoe. So on the bridge, there is a commissioner, a person who's in charge of the bridges down in Niagara. Now, this amazing human being also knew Arnie. So she was absolutely open to showing us around the bridge and was in immediate contact with me whenever I reached out or asked any questions. She was right there. I can't wait to tell you more about what happened. Without giving too much away, I mean, these are the people that really helped design the trip. And not to mention Mitchell and Stephanie, his girlfriend. The two of them were in touch with me and willing to come out to these events to help. So they were willing to do anything we wanted. But, in the end, I never could have done this by myself. All of these amazing Canadians just said, yeah, we're doing this. It's been 12 years. Think about that. I haven't been up in Canada for 12 years. I haven't seen these people face to face in 12 years. And some I hadn't met ever. This was a ginormous planning task. And the logistics of driving up there with the crew and making sure that every single day had something important happening, it was a big deal. And that's why I was a little nervous when I left, because it was almost like we were going to be magical. All of us together were going to levitate and just make this movie happen, make it filmable, make it poignant for everybody, including a film crew that didn't know about Arnie very much. So what we ended up accomplishing is so impressive to me, and it just instills and reminds me of how powerful we can be as a team, and how an experience we had back then can translate into today. Wow, it was amazing. And that's why I say this was magical, because it wasn't just me dragging people along. I wasn't begging people to help me. I asked for help and everybody jumped in. Everybody played a part, an important part in making this happen. So I wanted to make sure before I go on with this podcast that you understand this was a huge planning effort. This was a labor of love for everyone, and we all did it for Arnie. We all did it for the students who need hope and who need to know this story. I can't stress enough how important it was that we collaborated together.